What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Command and Console. My name is Jason. Today we're going to be having a look at some games that saved their franchises. These could be games that had a bit of a lull period and then one game came out and they absolutely catapulted them into stardom. Games, from my own personal opinion, that kind of saved the franchise. I'm not alone in this endeavour to pick these games that save franchises. I am joined by Donald Mackerel over at Donald Mackerel Gaming. I pick 5 and Donald pick 5, and we're going to kick this list off with Donald's first pick for what he considers to be his, picks for games that have saved their franchises.
What's up, guys, and welcome to Donald and Mackerel.
What the hell is that about, man? Why are you wearing a wig? What? I mean...
Sorry, dude. I just wanted to know what it felt like to have hair, in all honesty. Should we do this collaboration video? Well, the long hair is gone. We're back to sanity now. I just want to say thank you to Jason for letting me chip in on his video about the 5 games that saved franchises, at least for us anyway. This one definitely saved the franchise for me. XCOM Enemy Unknown. This is the Xbox 360 version, but I had it on the PS3, which I've still got somewhere. I've got the PC version as well. Never played the PC original. I did, however, have a couple of games for the PlayStation 1. They're XCOM games, and they were blooming impossible, ridiculously. But I'm awful at strategy games at the best of times. But then I wanted to love them, just couldn't get into them. And I remember when I saw this game had come out, the name XCOM rang a bell with me. And as soon as I saw the title and related it to the PS1 games, I went, oh, blooming heck, that's not going to be very good. But I think eventually I got it free. I think it was PS Plus gave it away free ages ago. And so, of course, I downloaded it, and best game ever. Not the best game, but one of them. Literally, it ranks in my top 10 games of all time. Yeah, definitely revitalized the franchise for me and made me actually go out and buy a physical copy on everything I could think of. Graphically as well, it's so hard to go back to the PS1 game when you've been playing. Even though the Xbox 360 one isn't exactly stunning when it comes to graphics, it's so hard to go back to those blocky, weird, isometric viewpoints when you've got this in front of you. But yeah, my first pick, definitely XCOM Enemy Unknown.
So my first pick in this list is going to be a series that I've kind of gradually followed growing up. Not so much on PC, but mostly on PlayStation 1, going into the 6th generation as well, with the original Xbox. My pick for a game that saved its franchise, I'm talking about Rainbow Six Vegas. I can't put into words how much this game absolutely captivated me and blew my mind back when this came out. I remember being really into the earlier games, the original Rainbow Six for the PS1 was really, really fun. I remember really liking Rainbow Six 3 for the original Xbox. But by the time Rainbow Six Lockdown came out, which was a sequel to Rainbow Six 3, I was already tired of the formula. And it did kind of feel like more of the same. Like it was more of a expansion to Rainbow Six 3 than an actual follow-up. But when they did follow it up, holy shit, they blew the fucking doors off. This game is so much fun. And the level-to-level gameplay is amazing. The shooting is absolute quality. And the online mode just took over our lives. And remember, this is before Call of Duty 4 came out. So this was the premier online shooter of the time. And it made Terrorist Hunt the mode where basically you've got to kind of infiltrate a building and save hostages and take out the terrorists. Rainbow Six Siege, of nowadays fame, owes Vegas a massive load there, because Rainbow Six Siege kind of took the Terrorist Hunt mode and made it a whole new kind of live service to it. But Rainbow Six Vegas had that already there as an amazing online multiplayer mode. And also, you have the usual deathmatch and stuff like that. But everyone was playing Terrorist Hunt with their mates, and it was awesome. The story mode was great as well. Like I said, this game was unbelievably good. And I think, to me, it saved the Rainbow Six franchise. I'm a bit upset to where Rainbow Six is gone. I don't really care for the live service stuff. I mean, it's cool that they've taken the terrorist hunt and transformed it into Siege, and they've made it like a really popular, you know, multiplayer game. That's cool. But I was hoping we would have gotten Rainbow Six Patriots, which was going to be the game that succeeded the Vegas series. But for me, Rainbow Six Vegas will always be the best in the Rainbow Six series. And for me, it saved the franchise from going stagnant back in 2007. That's Rainbow Six Vegas.
So for my second pick, anybody who's been watching my channel will have seen me try and live stream this game recently, where it was that good that I'm a sod for not completing games. I'm a sod for starting them and then just going off to something else. I had to complete this, had to. And like, horror games are not normally my cup of tea, but this one, Resident Evil 7, what a game, absolutely fantastic. There was a couple of bits in there that made me go, oh God, do I really want to carry on with this? The puzzle element with Lucas was quite frustrating, and the fact that it just kept going and going. Like, once I'd beaten Jack for the third time, I thought, oh, perhaps, you know, I'm going to have one more boss, i.e. I thought it would be, I'm not going to give it away, but I thought there'd be one more boss. Yeah, multiple bosses, and a whole entire another level, which is, yeah, ridiculous. But still, what a game. Definitely had to complete it. And even though I wasn't the best at it, I did enjoy it. I liked the first Resident Evil. I thought it was a decent game. I wouldn't say it was like game of the year sort of thing. I thought it was good for its time. The original Resident Evil 2 was my cup of tea. I thought it was fantastic. Then Resident Evil 3 came along. I tried it. It wasn't for me. I don't know. There was just something about it. Obviously, they didn't change too much about the franchise. Just something about it just didn't click with me. And then they lost me at Resident Evil 4. I know a lot of people love it. Jason's talked about it on my channel before, that he sort of fell out of love when Resident Evil 4 came along. It's just not a classic Resident Evil game. It sort of got rid of the horror element and went more down the action route. And then, of course, 5 and 6 just completely went down that route, but I'd already lost out by that point. So yeah, this came along. Never played it when it came out because I just thought it's just going to be another action fest. It's going to be boring. And I saw the viewpoint and I thought, like, they're clutching at straws here. They're desperate to get people back on. The only reason why I played this was because the people that watched my channel asked me to play it. And I'm so glad they did. I played it in VR, and oh my word, it was one of the freakiest games I've ever played, but I adored it, absolutely adored it. So yeah, my second choice, Resident Evil 7, saved the franchise for me anyway. Brilliant.
So my number 4 pick is going to be Final Fantasy Strangers of Paradise. This game, I can't put into words how much I adore this game. It's one of my favourite RPGs of all time, and it's one of my favourite fantasies, if not my favourite Final Fantasy game ever. And it's not even a mainline title. I know, guys, it's insane, but I felt like after Final Fantasy X, the series went into a dip and it lulled for years. Final Fantasy XI was a PS2 and PC online multiplayer MMO. Final Fantasy 13 is fucking hallway the game. Fuck that shit, it was rubbish. Final Fantasy 14 was another MMO that I know is massively popular, but I'm not into MMOs, so it was definitely a write-off for me. And Final Fantasy 15 just wasn't that amazing. It wasn't, Final Fantasy is back, it's amazing. It wasn't that at all. And it took me picking this game up just out of curiosity, and it was really cheap, also helped, to be like, I want to try this one out. And to put it into words, I got the platinum. Now, I'm not a platinum hunter, right? I don't hunt for trophies or achievements, but I absolutely rinsed this game. I 100%ed the game and got the platinum, and I 100%ed the story DLC. So it's fucking, this game is so good, guys. It's so good. One of my favourite ever combat systems in an RPG. It feels absolutely monstrous and you feel so powerful. It's impactful, it's weighty. You absolutely destroy the enemies in this. But the game is so vast and so beautiful and got amazing locales, and it's like, it's just so well done. It does follow a similar kind of Souls-like formula, but it's so accessible that even a numpty like me, I'm terrible at Souls-like games. I tend to not commit to them because I'm that terrible, I never can finish them. But even a numpty like me that is terrible at these kind of Souls-like games, I got the fucking platinum. That should tell you everything, guys. This game absolutely saved the Final Fantasy series for me, and that's a personal thing, right? Because I don't think the series has been very good since Final Fantasy X, and I've not played Final Fantasy 16 yet. But the cool thing about this game is that I say it saved the series for me because it's got me back on board with Final Fantasy, and it's made me want to play Final Fantasy 16, go back in time, play the games that I didn't play that I might have to give a second chance, like Final Fantasy 15. It's made me want to, you know, give my attention back to the Final Fantasy series. So Final Fantasy, Strangers of Paradise, 100% saved this franchise for me. That is Final Fantasy, Stranger of Paradise.
So for my third choice, where do I start with this one? I'll tell you what the game is to begin with. The game is Sonic Generations. This is the Xbox 360 version, but again, it's on pretty much everything. So yeah, it definitely saved the franchise for me because I fell out of love with Sonic a long time ago. And I'm not even just talking about the Sonic 2007 game. I think it's just called Sonic the Hedgehog for the Xbox 360 and PS3. I played the original Sonic the Hedgehog. Even back in the day, I couldn't see what all the fuss was about. I just thought it was a very average platformer. In fact, if anything, it was too fast for me to like. Sonic 2 came about, though. I liked that a bit more. I had a Master System as well, though, so I had Sonic Chaos. I loved Sonic Chaos. I thought Sonic Chaos was great. Sonic 3, fantastic. Sonic and Knuckles, fantastic. And then we had, and I'm not talking about your spin-off games like your Sonic Spinball and all that sort of business, Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. No, we had Sonic 3D, the Flicky's Island one, not great. I must admit, Sonic CD was all right for the Mega CD. We had nothing for the Sega Saturn from what I can remember. But Dreamcast had Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2. They were okay. But again, it was just, that was it. Okay. I didn't really like the shift into 3D. It just didn't click for me. And I say they kept on trying to bang that drum, kept on trying to get us into the 3D arena when it came to Sonic. This understands. This sort of says, we know what you want. You want classic Sonic updated for a modern audience. Like they tried it with Sonic the Hedgehog 4, which was only a very, very small game and wasn't very good, to be honest, if I think about it. But this just takes everything I love about the classic games, brings some of them into like a 3D sort of 2.5D element, and just the way you can unlock more and more and more as you go along. I love the fact that you can play as classic Sonic as well as the new Sonic as well, and again you can unlock different characters for it. What an absolutely fantastic game, and I think this saved Sonic the Hedgehog, definitely for me anyway. Really, really reignited my love with the Sonic franchise. And don't get me wrong, there's been a few duffers since then as well, but this one definitely is one I always go back to. Sonic Generations.
Third pick is going to be Castlevania Lord of Shadow. Now, we all know that the 2D Castlevania games are absolute peak, right? They're king. But when it comes to transforming that franchise into 3D, it didn't go so well. It's had some pretty abysmal 3D outings, right? From the N64 game being terrible, from some of the original Xbox and PS2 3D games being terrible, from being there's a Wii fighting kind of game that's pretty terrible. And then this comes about, and for me, it saves the franchise in terms of the 3D outings in particular, right? Because we got some amazing 2D stuff. Don't get me wrong, the DS games are amazing, Game Boy Advance games are great. But when it concerns the 3D Castlevania stuff, Castlevania Lords of Shadow absolutely is incredible. It's so good. Maybe not exactly what people were after for a Castlevania game, but for a whole kind of reboot, a refresh of the series, and kind of, you know, this 3D thing is not really working out. Let's just try this instead. It works so well. It's a combination of your kind of God of War / Shadow of the Colossus kind of gameplay, and that really works. It's really, really good. The combat feels awesome and powerful, and you feel just like you're just cutting into people. You're fighting werewolves. You're fighting giant, fucking massive enemies that are like skyscraper high. Hence the Shadow of Colossus reference, comparison. But yeah, this game, I think it really, for me anyway, it saved the Castlevania franchise from the 3D mediocrity that it had trying to transition this series into 3D. Not saying anything bad about the 2D games or the franchise in general, but when it came to those 3D, like I like to separate the two, when it comes to the 3D Castlevania outings, this definitely saved the franchise. That's Castlevania Lords of Shadow.
Number 4. My icon when it comes to gaming. I base my whole entire lifestyle on this man. He is such a legend. It is Leisure Suit Larry with Wet Dreams Don't Dry. So a lot of people really don't like Leisure Suit Larry. Of course, try saying that after 3 beers. The Leisure Suit Larry franchise. They're not a fan of it. The old point and click thing, and a lot of it is like really, really obscure puzzles, which normally I would hate. But just the humour around the Leisure Suit Larry games makes me love them so much. I was a fan all the way back from the original Leisure Suit Larry, all the way through to number 6 was probably my favourite. Number 7 was great as well. And then I don't know what happened. It went dead for a little bit. And then there was Magna Cum Laude, the Larry Lovage, I think his name was, game. So it didn't actually feature the original Leisure Suit Larry. It went to a different character. I think it was his nephew or something. And it was all right, but it was very much aimed at idiots. Basically, I would say I was young at the time, so I was an idiot. So I should have liked it, but there was a little bit in me that went, "This isn't as good a game as it should be." And then you had box office bust, and at that point, I just went, "That's it. The series is dead. The series is gone. There is no point anymore now. They're never going to get back to releasing." I don't think they'd let Al Lowe, the original creator, they wouldn't let him have any input on the games that were coming out, or at least if he did have any, I don't know where it went to. I gave up on the franchise. And someone told me that this was more in line with the original ones, but I left it for ages. Because again, I just didn't believe it. I thought there's no way it can measure up to the original Leisure Suit Larry's. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic game. And the follow-up, which I think was called Wet Dreams Dry Twice. Blimey heck. When that came out, the ending for that, oh my lord. But this is the one that got me back into the Leisure Suit Larry franchise. Wet Dreams Don't Dry. It takes pride of place as well on my shelf. Both of the newer games. I don't know if they're doing any more. I really hope they do. Mainly for people like me that still adore the original series. And if you're one of those people, please do try this. It's absolutely fantastic. I think you can download it for a couple of quid now. Absolutely fantastic game.
My next pick, my second to last pick, is going to be 007, Everything or Nothing. This game came out at a time where we had the most hit and miss kind of trajectory for James Bond games. And this one, for me, hit every mark that I wanted it to hit. Explosive action. Pierce Brosnan as Bond. He's my Bond, by the way. He's my generation Bond. Amazing car sections. Third-person shooting that feels satisfying. Yeah, this saved the Bond franchise for me in terms of video games. And I still think it's the best of the bunch, especially in the PS2 era. You can say what you like about Nightfire. It's a great FPS game, a great Bond game in its own right, but I feel this has everything that I want in a Bond game, and I just loved it to pieces. I loved it ever since it's come out. It's been my favourite Bond game probably since GoldenEye, and yeah, I don't think we've had a Bond game this good since either, in my opinion. This definitely saved the Bond series of games for me, and like I said, they've been kind of like, peaks and valleys with the series, and I feel like this was one of the bigger peaks, and it really saved the series. It brought me back on board with the series, because I feel like GoldenEye came out, was a massive hit. Everyone played that game growing up, especially in my generation. Being like, I think I was like 10 or 12 years old. I think I was like 12 years old when that game came out, or 11, something like that. I was still quite young, so it was quite impressionable to play this first-person shooter, based on a film that you've seen, you've seen as a kid, awesome. But I feel like we've had consecutively kind of a bit meh games after that. Tomorrow Never Dies was fine, but it wasn't GoldenEye. World's Not Enough was fine, but it wasn't GoldenEye. You get my gist. Agent Under Fire was decent for a PS2 Bond game. It just wasn't amazing. And I think this one was when we got just like an awesome, awesome Bond game. Yeah, definitely recommend this one. Definitely saved the franchise for me, in my opinion. That's 007, Everything or Nothing.
And so for my fifth and final game, most important one, definitely the one that revitalised the franchise for me, and it is my favourite game of all time. I absolutely adore this game, which is bizarre when I think about it, because it's Fallout New Vegas. As you can see, it's the Ultimate Edition there. That's how much I blooming love it. Yeah, absolutely awesome game. All the DLC's awesome as well. But long and short of it is, I played the original Fallout back in the day. Very tricky, and as you can see, I'm not very good at tricky games. Never completed it. I liked it though. I thought it was a good game. Then Fallout 2 came along, wiped the floor with the original Fallout. Like proper amazing game. Again, I couldn't complete it. I'm not very good at it. There was something about those old school RPGs that just used to whoop me every time. And then before Fallout 3 came out, we had a bit of a rough patch. I never tried Fallout Tactics. I don't know why, that just sort of seemed to skip past me. But there was Brotherhood of Steel. And oh my word, I like Diablo sort of games, so it should have been right up my street. Killed it dead. Absolutely killed the franchise dead for me. It was at that point I just sort of thought, they've given up here. They don't know what to do with the franchise anymore. Why didn't they just release another RPG? I don't know. And then I thought my prayers were answered, because Fallout 3 came out. It was getting lots and lots and lots of hype around it, so I thought, brilliant. I didn't buy it, luckily. I went round to my friend's house to play it. The opening segment with the baby just went on far too long. It was an alright game though, once I got into it. It wasn't bad. The ending was atrocious, and I know they fixed it. I know they made it so that you could send in another character to... again, not going to give away the ending, but I know they fixed the ending. But at the time, I remember just going, what the heck is this? And it really peed me off, especially when it had come from the people that had just made Oblivion. I just sort of thought, how can you make that and then go on to make Fallout 3, which isn't an awful game. It's just not worthy of that Fallout title. New Vegas, though. I think this was made by the original people. Is it Obsidian that made Fallout and Fallout 2? This gets it. This gets the Fallout franchise, and my word, literally from the opening moments of the game, the humour was there, the story was there, everything was there. It was a fantastic... The only thing it was missing was the morality scale. I did quite like that about Fallout 3. But yeah, an absolutely awesome game. It should be in everybody's collection. If you haven't played it, please do play it. Fallout 4 came along and soon knocked it back down for me, but this, Fallout New Vegas, easily saved a franchise for me. And despite how much I dislike Fallout 4, it still made me try 76, and I'll try whatever game comes out next as well. Just off the back of this, that probably will be the last one though, if it's not to my cup of tea. New Vegas, the best game ever, and a franchise saver for me.
My number one pick is going to be a game that, without it, we wouldn't have this franchise like we know it now, in my opinion. Objectively, who's to say, right? But in my opinion, on a subjective point of view, we wouldn't have this franchise of racing games, it's a clue there, without this game. The games before it were kind of in their niche, they had their fans, but it wasn't a massive slam dunk hit until this game come out. My number one game for saving the franchise is Need for Speed Underground. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that the series was in dire need of saving when this game came out. We had some cool games like Hot Pursuit 2 that came out a little bit before this one, but I don't really have much of a fond memory of the prior Need for Speed games, nor do I kind of remember what really came before it, aside from the odd few like Need for Speed 3 Hot Pursuit and Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2. I kind of got very middling memories of some of the other Need for Speed games, but this changed the franchise forever. Without this game, we wouldn't have... I don't think it would establish itself as a massive mainstream series like it has today. Yeah, this game absolutely jumped on the import tuner bandwagon, saw the Fast and Furious movie and thought, let's do that. That's what we got to do to capture these people that want to build cars of their dreams and race them at 200 miles an hour. It did exactly that. And obviously the sequel is like one of the greatest race games of all time. But I'm talking about this one because it kind of completely changed the series for the better at the right time in history, and the rest is history, right? This is one of EA's premium racing franchises. It's gone on, some would say, I would like to say strength to strength, but there's been some kind of dips here and there. But this ushered in the wave of these kind of import tuner street racing titles. They were all gunning to be Need for Speed Underground, and it was very difficult to be quite like it. Yeah, I think Need for Speed Underground saved the Need for Speed franchise and just propelled it into superstardom with Need for Speed Underground 2, Need for Speed Carbon, Need for Speed Most Wanted, the original 2006 version, which is one of the most expensive 360 games out there at the moment, and people are gunning for that one. That's a great one as well. So I feel like this just ushered in a string of amazing Need for Speed games, and you wouldn't have had them if this game never came out. That's Need for Speed Underground. That's it, guys. Those are my 5 picks for games that saved their franchises. Obviously, I've got to keep prefacing this, guys. This is my personal subjective opinion on these games. You may think different, and so you should do, and so you have every right to do. Let me know what you think about these games, and if you feel like they kind of saved their franchises. You know, I'm trying to be as subjective as possible, because, you know, objectively you might feel like, well, the series was fine before these games, so it didn't need saving. But it's all a bit of fun, guys. It's all like, what games do I think kind of, I wasn't interested and now I'm interested. It kind of fell into a bit of a lull period, and then the new game come out and it blew the doors off, right? This is the fun things about these lists, guys. It's all about, you know, remembering these games, having just banter about it, and just talking about what they mean to me and what they mean to you. Let me know in the comments down below what you think about these games. Let me know your picks for games that saved their franchises. Doesn't have to be objective. It could be a game that people think might have killed the franchise, that actually for you saved the franchise. It's all a bit of fun, guys. There's no wrong answers here. So yeah, as always, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And as always, let's continue to build a games collection.